Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So this is the first of 50 videos, one for each state, and then I'm going to come back as in case there's anything else that's interesting that happens in each of these states. But definitely one show per state at the minimum. I'm starting at the beginning of the primaries, which if you watched my previous video, is March 3rd. So Texas is a March 3rd primary state. So we are going to start there. And in fact, the first three is Texas, Arkansas, and North Carolina. So that'll be the first three of this series. But I promise I will do all 50 states, including Hawaii, and probably I might do some of the territories too, one of which I grew up on, so might be interesting. All right, let's get started. So Texas primaries on March 3rd, 2026. Super fun. But first, let's learn what kind of primary Texas has. It's an open primary, which means that all you have to be is a registered voter. So there's a big misconception in Texas. I bet you guys would all be surprised to learn there are no registered Republicans in Texas. Not even one. It's facts. We're all registered Texans. And how I know if you're a Democrat or Republican, I look at demographics and voter behavior. So I can tell if you voted in a Democratic primary or a Republican primary or both. And then I look at age and gender and all sorts of fun math and stuff. But technically in Texas, everyone's just a voter. We're all Texans. Yep. So it makes targeting voters a little bit more interesting. But all in all, so what that basically means is that in these gerrymandered districts that the Republicans have created, you're going to have Democrats voting in Republican primaries because they're going to vote for the least insane candidate. So that's fun fact. Right now, we have a special election, which is total nuts because it's in the middle of Houston. It's a district that technically won't exist in 3 months because it's because of the gerrymandering. So you have 14 candidates running for one congressional seat right now. And it's all happening in November 4th. So basically 34 days from now. They have basically all of October and then the first few days of November, and that's their election. So they got 34 days left of their election. It's kind of nuts. Real quick, if you like and subscribe, thank you. If you haven't, please do. If you wish to support this channel, you can find it on YouTube, which is where this is, and also Substack, which is also where this is. And if you wish to donate, I have a PayPal on YouTube. And for Substack, if you wanted to become a subscribing member, that would be awesome. A paid subscribing member. So the special election, first problem, so many candidates, 14 of them. What are you going to do? I mean, so many. So what kind of difficulties does that create? Well, let's look at 100% of the vote. If you divide it evenly amongst all the candidates, that's like what, 7% per vote per candidate? If they all break even across the board, that's ridiculous. What's going to happen is going to be about 3 candidates that are going to get 20 something percent. And then the other 11 candidates are going to divide up the other 20 something percent amongst themselves. So you're going to have a lot of 1% and 2% candidates. And you have like maybe 2 or 3 20 something percent candidates. So you're going to have a congressional representative that's going to be in a district that's not going to exist any longer. That's going to be in office for, a few months. I mean, technically all next year, but in a district that won't even matter. And they're going to have to run for a primary in like 4 or 5 months from now. Definitely about December, January, February, 3 months from when they win their election, they have to rerun the entire primary in a completely new district. Super fun. So so they've got some really interesting problems that have developed in this race. And when you've got those top 3 winners, they're going to run again. Your second, third, fourth, fifth place is all going to run again in the March 3rd primary in 2026. So even when you've beaten your opponents, they're coming back, and they might beat you. See, the thing is, they're not going to stop campaigning. Why would you? I mean, it's literally overtime. You've been campaigning for 4 months. You're going to have this election in November. Then what's 3 more months? Might as well do it. So that's what they're going to do. December, January, and February, they're going to run their race right into March, and we'll see who wins that. And it'll be in a completely different district. There's some overlap geographically, but really the way that district is set up is that it's kind of like a big horseshoe, kind of wraps around like this, the inside of Houston. And the new district's going to be like all the middle portion of Houston. I'll show you a map here in a little bit, but it's a different district with some overlap. I would guess 40, maybe 50% overlap. So something. The normal methodology is mail, email, social media, conventional media. All of it's interesting. Mail is going to be a waste. Can you imagine if you're a voter who votes in special elections and general elections, you haven't missed a general election in 4 cycles, you vote in all the primaries, you are going to get 14 pieces of mail daily for like the last 2 weeks of October. So at that point, when you go, look, I got my mail today, it goes from this hand into a recycling bin. And what's crazy about that is the amount of money. I always tell a candidate, you're spending money when you put ink on paper. That means you're printing stuff to hand out. You're really spending money when you put postage on paper. And these guys are going to spend a lot of postage. And it's going to be a complete waste. In fact, I've mentioned this a few times. The Brookings Institute they researched 2,000 campaigns. And they came to the conclusion that mail is statistically irrelevant. Which brings us to email. Can be good, but not when there's 14 candidates running and they're all going off the same list and the same Democratic groups and all the same stuff. It's going to be garbage, You're never going to see any of it. Even if it's on your feed, you're never going to see any of it. Email's done. Social media will also be crowded. But once you've got buy-in, at least it keeps your supporters up to date. So they know when early voting starts and what have you. So at least you got that. Then you got conventional media. Houston is a very expensive media market. I mean, keep in mind, Harris County by itself has 2.4 million registered voters. That's more registered voters than 20 other states in the country. And that's just that county. I brought that up quite a few times because it's crazy. It's a nuts statistic. So that's their problem, So really, honestly, they need to start knocking on doors if they're going to do anything, and they should have started that a month ago. Right now, they've got 4 weeks. I mean, you could put a 15-person paid team together, and you might get to 20, maybe 25,000 doors, maybe 30 if you're pretty good with full auditing. So, I mean, maybe 40 if you really nail it. But that's just a fraction of the doors that are going to be participating. I mean, that could participate in this election. So it's really an interesting, it's interesting. So see how they'll do that. Curious. can't do with volunteers. I mean, you can, and I'm sure they'll feel really good when they're doing it. But to hit the numbers that you need to hit and the time available, it's tough. I've been in those races. It's tough. Special elections are keyword, all caps, underline, special. So I'm looking at all the 2026 primaries in Texas that are Democratic. I don't really look at the Republican stuff too much. And these are the ones that are in obviously blue districts to see if there's anything going on and where all the candidates are. So all of the finance data I have is as of June of this year, because there hasn't been another FEC filing period yet. So we'll know more at the end of the year. We'll start with Houston, because that's where we're at. And so the district that they're running in is going to have a piece of 29 and a piece of 7 in it, and a piece of 18. Because remember, I told you it's like a horseshoe, so it's going to have 3 chunks in it. So it really depends on where these guys run. We don't know 7 and 18. That's where many of the candidates that are running right now in this special will be running in that. Real quick, like and subscribe if you wish to support our channel. It's on YouTube. There's a PayPal. I also have CLSP Politics on Substack. Love for you to be a paying member. Also have free membership, but every buck counts. All right, back to Houston. Here we are. So in District 29, Sylvia Garcia, who's an incumbent, has cash on hand of just under $200,000. And there's no other candidates have any finance information or have filed. But like I said, a bunch of those candidates that are running could come over into this race. It's totally possible. Houston is far from figured out yet. So 200,000 is a solid start. Most of these campaigns only have a primary, and all of these will only have a primary. They have what we call ghettoized or packed the voter universe for these races in the new gerrymandering for 2026 in Texas. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, they had previously, in the original version of gerrymandering, they had disenfranchised 2.3 million registered voters. We're up to about 4 million now. So Houston's definitely part of that. San Antonio, District 20. So anytime you see hooks, and this one has 2, that's disenfranchisement. That's how that's an easy way to see gerrymandering. Also, if you see little bitty cutouts like this, that's also disenfranchisement. That's how you spot it. If you don't have any other data, and I've got a bunch of data, I'm going to show you a big map of Texas here in a little bit. But it allows them to break up the Democratic vote, and they mostly do it by racial lines. So yeah, that's fun. In this district, it's going to be Joaquin Castro's cash on hand, 168,000. I don't see anyone getting in against him. I mean, he might have a few that jump in, but he's a young, dynamic Democrat in Texas and Hispanic and been there a long time and knows how to win his seat. So I fully expect Joaquin to hold on to his seat. Moving on to Austin. So this one has Greg Cesar in it. He's actually my old city councilman when I lived in Austin. He was actually very generous. He spoke to many of my candidates that I was working with. And he's sitting at $500,000. He's not going anywhere. In fact, Lloyd Doggett stepped down, because what they did was they put Greg and Lloyd in the same district, and Lloyd stepped down to make room for Greg. And I will tell you right now, Lloyd Doggett has always been an advocate for young candidates. He's always done. I've talked with him on multiple occasions. I had a millennial candidate running for Congress back in 2018. He gave as close to an endorsement as he could, given the political environment, and was great. Just great guy. Dallas, Texas. Well, I was the data director for Obama Dallas in 2008. I know a lot about Dallas. Um, they have done a real number on Dallas and Fort Worth. This is kind of the DFW area, but this is a 33 and 30. There were two other congressional seats here that were in play that are no longer in play. And you understand, DFW area, I mean, Dallas has over 1 million registered voters. Fort Worth's got to be around 800,000. Being at Collin and Denton counties, both those counties are 500,000 each. There's 3 million, probably, maybe close to 4 million registered voters in all four of these counties. And they're pretty blue. Not 100% blue. Don't get me wrong. Denton's got some work to do. So does Tarrant. Collin County, though, their city council in Plano's blue. They've been winning all sorts of nonpartisan seats, all Democratic, doing some great work. Remember I told you to look for those hooks? You see that hook over there in the top right-hand corner there? It goes, burr, 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 and it goes, that's gerrymandering. See how it breaks up and you see that weird little cutout? That's gerrymandering. So, yeah, and those districts just keep on going. One of the one that's too north, Evan Hunt's running in that one. That district used to be a county and a half big. Now it is 6 counties. It went from a seat I was more than certain Evan Hunt was going to have a good chance at, and now it's just a real heavy lift. It's almost 2-1 Republicans versus Democrats now, when it used to be within reach. And it could still be. Evan's exactly the right candidate to run. The Republicans are doing a real job on agriculture. He's got a lot of agriculture in those counties, and the rural hospitals are being shut down. So there's a lot of things going into that would go against Self, who's up there running, because he voted for the big bad bill. So there's lots going in Evan's favor, but there's also a lot of math and the money and logistics to run campaigns that are multiple counties like that. And you can't get 30% in those counties. You got to get 35, 36% in those red counties. You got to be reasonably competitive. And the only way to do that is to have people there on the ground knocking on doors in all those counties. And that's a lot of small town and rural canvassing. Just to give you an idea, the price variance there from like suburban canvassing can be like between $3 and $5 a door, depending on the size of the program. Once you get rural, it's $9 to $16 a door, because it's the distance between each door per hour. I mean, the math gets pretty rough. So it's they really did a job. But the Jasmine, who's running in the 30th, she's not going anywhere. There's a couple people that have filed again to run in her primary, Rodney LaBruce and Oscar Villar. Neither of them have any money at all. Jasmine's sitting on almost $4 million, and she is beloved by the Democratic Party, and she does a great job. And she's doing a lot for the southern sector of Dallas County. So I feel like she's going to hold her seat, no problem. Then Mark Vesey is running in the 33rd, which is interesting because his district was really kind of a chunk of Fort Worth and a chunk of Dallas. Now he's all in Dallas, pretty with a bit of Fort Worth, but really it's mostly Dallas. And there's a lot of parts of that city that he's never run in before. So, but VC's sitting at just under $1 million. So, and he's raising money. I guarantee he's doing call time. If you're in North Dallas, you've been getting phone calls. I have no doubt. So VC, I haven't seen anyone file against him yet. So I'm feeling like Mark Vesey's going to probably be the guy who's going to pull that seat. And we were young Democrats together 1,000 years ago, so in Dallas. So I actually nominated him as a club. I voted to nominate him not nominate him, to endorse him, which was an easy pick because he's a good guy. Just to give you an idea, where are the votes and what did the Texas GOP do? I wanted to show you guys these maps. So on the left there is the new districting that they're looking at, and the only one I really didn't go into is the ones in the far south, because they're going to be blue, but maybe it's hard. I'm going to explain that here in a second. But you can see Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. What they did with the peripheral of all of these cities is they cut them and spread out that blue vote into much, much redder areas. So if you want to look at where the growth in the Republican and Democratic Party is, this is a swing graphic showing from 2008 to 2020 where the party growth is. And do you see how much bigger those blue areas are than in this map on the one on the right? See how much they're larger areas? And that's because the suburbs of those cities are all turning blue. And that's why the Republicans went in and did a bunch of gerrymandering. So my thoughts are, God help those candidates in that special election down in Houston. They got my thoughts and prayers, and I mean that. Those special elections are brutal, and there's 14 candidates running for a congressional seat. I don't even know where to begin with that. But as far as the races go outside that, the real pickups, I think, are going to be in the South. There are some dark horses. There are some candidates that have been out there raising money and working. Looking at you, Evan. I hope that they can pull something out of a hat. And they know they got my support. But what I do like is to see that the incumbents that we do have are locked down. So at least we're not going to lose any seats that we currently hold that are in the new redistricting. So there's Texas's primary. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Again, if you want to support this channel, it's on YouTube and Substack. I have a PayPal on YouTube, I have over 100 subscribers that are non-paid on my Substack. I'd love for a few of you just to do $5 a month. That would be very helpful. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great day. And this is one of 50 of these I'm going to do. So if you haven't seen your state yet, that's very possible because there's 49 more to go. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.